Hey guys, here working on the Mattzilla truck, trying to get finished up for the G6 coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Me and Howard both have a ton of things to do. Howard's actually in the other room working on his G6 entry, which is going to be a little exo cage XJ Jeep sitting on top of a SCX-10 chassis that we got to do some link building and things like that for. He's got more work than I do, but I also have a ton of work to get done in a shorter amount of time than I had planned in my head. I think I had my weekends mixed up and it's coming up really quick here. I've made a little bit of progress on the Mattzilla truck lately, but I haven't done a whole lot of video on it. However, I do want to touch on some of the things that I have done, some of the things that I'm going to work on here in the next day or so, and as well as some of the things that I'm going to do to get this truck ready for the G6. So first of all, I need to make sure that this thing survives through the event, and that means that I need to make sure that this thing is bulletproof. Now, the transmission that I had in here, I just grabbed a transmission that I had sit on the shelf. It's basically a stock Wraith transmission, and that's definitely not going to do. However, I really don't have enough time to build up another transmission or build up this transmission to get there. I'm running out of time and a lot of things to do. But I do have a complete bomb-proof transmission sitting on the shelf here. And this one was actually the one out of my G6 truck from last year. So I know it's ready to go. It's built with all of the super shafty stuff, 6mm chromoly outputs, the whole deal. And right now it still has the MIP 6mm outputs on it, which will be perfect. And what I'm going to use is I've got a couple of sets of MIP drive shafts sitting around here that this is what I'm going to use on the other side. So I'll end up with basically one extra shaft laying around. A tip for you guys, get the AX10 without dig version of the MIP drive shafts. I'll put that part number in the description, but the reason to go with that is that they're cheaper than the Wraith versions, and they use a 4mm thread on the outputs rather than the 3mm stuff that the Wraith and things like that do. Now, the reason I like that is I like that size of the 4mm pin better because you can use a 2mm wrench on it rather than a 1.5, and the 1.5s are super weak, and it also, those threads get jammed up. You try to put much torque on, you'll snap your wrench off. So you go to these and you get the Traxxas 4mm set pins for like the Emax and things like that, and you end up with a system that is cheaper than the Wraith, and I believe that in the end it's easier for maintenance down the road. So that's definitely what I would recommend you pick up there. In here right now I have the Rock 412 3100 kV motor that I'm going to push with a Tekin RS, which is the very first time that I've used that Tekin RS in this application. We'll see how it does. I would much rather use a Mamba Max Pro, but we're going to see how this one takes to this type of abuse, and hopefully it stands up. It's not exactly the situation where I would like to do this testing, but in the end it's probably what's going to happen. Also, the G6, we have a day and a night stage. So for that, I obviously want lights, and I obviously want the best lights just because I really like to have the best of anything that I can get. It's just the way I like to build these trucks, and I think that's the most fun for me. So last year I used these same lights, and I'm going to use it again, and anybody who saw my truck last year will know what I'm talking about. Now, this is a 4-inch Vanquish rigid light bar. Now, it's not a normal Vanquish rigid light bar. In there is an inset from Moore LLC, Miniature Off-Road Engineering LLC. And these are actually Cree LEDs, which are insanely bright. Up front here, I've got a tiny little 1-inch version that I 3D printed a mount for. I'll show you a quick snap of that. I did a clamp-on style mount to hold that up front there. Super simple. Again, I would normally have no problem welding to a chassis. However, this one's already powder coated, and I'm just going to kind of play with the idea that I'm not going to weld to it for now anyway. Maybe down the road I'll blast that coating off and do my little touches. But this 1-inch version up here puts out a little over 100 lumens, which a 6-inch version of a normal light bar, like a Vanquish or a Gearhead or things like that, put out a little under a 100. So this 1-inch version is brighter than the 6-inch versions that you would normally buy. And the 4-inch version is 600 lumens. So, multiple times over brightness. These things are painful to look at when they're turned on. And that's really what I like. Plus this one up front is blue, like piercing, blinding blue. You can tell, even the brightness of this, you can tell it's my truck coming because of that bright blue light, which I think is kind of fun. And a little something that I picked up actually on the Full Size World from Derek West, who runs a blue rigid LED light bar on the front of his Ultra 4 car. So even day or night, when that car's coming in a distance, you can tell which car is his. So something I was trying to replicate. But that's the plan for tonight. I need to get that transmission in, need to get those drive shafts installed, and I want to finish up my lighting. That's where I'm at for now. As you can see, still got my plastic wheels in there. I'll get the Vanquish methods installed. I'll show you what I got coming there. I'm pretty excited about that. I got a set of the orange methods with a set of gunmetal rings. They're gonna look great on here, but haven't had time to exactly get those on the truck. So very soon, that's coming too. Also, I still need to get another set of XR10 universals. I only had one spare laying around, and this side just has a dog bone stub axle in there to hold it on there while I'm getting this thing finished built up. So I still have a ways to go, a lot to do, and hopefully I can get that all done here in the next, I've got 2 weeks almost, a little less, something like that. Either way, a lot to do, not very much time. So I'm gonna get right to it and try and get something done. Tonight was productive, but not as productive as I would have liked to have been. I listed off a number of things that I wanted to get done earlier, and not all of those things quite got done, but all of them got worked on or started or something along those lines at least. But we'll go through this real quick and kind of run down what I've got left and what I actually got done. So I did get that transmission installed. Before actually installing it, I decided I wanted to open it up, replace the bearings with some Fast Eddie's bearings that I had here, as well as just kind of make sure everything was good and fresh, lube up the gears again, tighten up the bolts on those final drive gears just to make sure that they're locked down real tight, and then reinstall it. So that wasn't exactly just a quick swap. Now, another thing is that this has both the extended front and rear outputs. It's got the extended front output to clear that slipper gear with those larger 6mm MIP ball ends that go to those MIP drive shafts. But that made me run into an issue. My drive shafts were too long, and I had to shorten the rear, and I was able to do that because it didn't need too much. I was only maybe an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch long. So I threw it on the lathe, turned that down, and I cleared just fine. The thing is that the female side of these drive shafts are not necessarily splined that entire length. If you use like a pick or something and get down in there, you can kind of feel where the splines stop. So I was not able to shorten that front drive shaft. Now I could cut it, weld it, and put it back in there, but there is another option. You can get one of the stub shafts for the front of a Slash 4x4, I believe. And those are a short male end that's fully splined, but it allows you to run a nice shorter shaft. I've used that in the Scout project to get that same, or to accomplish that same goal. So I'm going to get one of those on order. Worst case scenario, I've got one upstairs that I could, or I've got one in the Scout that I could steal. I don't want to do that though. So I'm going to get one of those on order and get that swapped in here. So that was the first thing that I didn't get done. Now, what else did I say I wanted to do? The light bar. I wanted to get that light bar all finished up. Well, it's not in there, as you can probably see. However, I did get the mount designed, and I got that taken care of. However, I was able, it's almost 10 o'clock now, or a little after 10 o'clock, and I didn't have time to print the other side. So that's fairly well knocked out. Now, something that you'll see here is the mounts here on the inside. The reason is that I'm going to actually put this light bar in the cab. Now that's mostly for protection. I don't want to take it out, and I wanted to cheat and 3D print the part rather than make one out of steel. And since it's going to be a 3D printed part, I want it as least susceptible to impact as possible. So I cheated and I'm throwing it inside the cab. Just a simple little deal, and again, another easy thing since I'm not welding on this cage right now. Later on down the road, if I strip this cage down, I will weld on the light bar bracket. But the light bar is going to sit nicely right inside there, and that's the location that it sits when it's sitting on the bracket on this side here. So pretty simple, easily protected, and really won't be able to beat that as far as the whole protection thing goes. Anyway, that's where it sits for right now. One thing, well, I got to get all those things taken care of, a few things here and there that are still left to do. One thing that I haven't talked about yet is this Rust-Oleum product that I'm going to use. This is the Rust-Oleum Neverwet. And if you've never seen this stuff, it's like an ultra hydrophobic coating. Now, this is marketed as a frosted clear, so it doesn't just necessarily go on without any, you can't, it seems like you'll be able to see it, but it's not incredibly noticeable or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to coat this truck with, basically. Not everything, but as much as I can. Nothing sticks to this. Water, mud, it just slides off. So I hate mud, so this is what I'm going to give a shot to. We'll see how this goes. I'll have a follow-up video on this, and I'll probably have a video specifically on it, so watch out for that. You can get this at Lowe's for like 20 bucks. So if you're antsy, just go pick it up yourself, or watch the YouTube videos and you can see how crazy that stuff really is. Other than that, guys, this thing is coming along. I've got a few things that I need to get wrapped up here soon. It will be done soon, and I'll have the wheels. I'll install the wheels here very soon and get these final little things buttoned up. It's getting kind of crazy around here. Howard was over tonight trying to get everything buttoned up on his rig. We'll see exactly how that goes. He was a little frustrated by the time he walked out the door. But that's all for the update on this one. For being such a simple truck, I am ended up having a lot of videos on this thing, which wasn't necessarily my original goal, but I'm having fun with this truck, and I'm liking it a lot, and I've got a few little other things that I plan to do. I've got an idea for a front battery tray that I'd like to print again. I know I'm overusing that printer probably, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I always do like 3D modeling, so it really goes hand in hand with that printer. So one more thing, and we'll get it on there. Follow along, guys. I'll get back to pumping out some videos here soon. I booked my tickets for the Southwest Championship down in Cedar City, Utah. So I can't wait to get down there, and I'm gonna pump out more videos than you guys are probably gonna wanna watch on that. I plan to show you guys a ton of just the craziest scale rigs, around the country for the most part, the guys that go down there. And I'll have a ton of rigs that you guys will be able to see, a ton of interviews with those guys, coverage of the TTC, which is a whole nother thing that we'll get into later. The Class 1, Class 2, blah, blah, blah. It'll be a lot of fun. So that's all I got for now, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.